How are we doing, guys? Welcome to today's live stream. Hope everybody is doing well. Hi, Justin. Hope you're good. Gonna give it a few minutes as usual, just to give everyone an opportunity to jump in and whatnot. Just make sure my audio is correct. Should be good. Going to go over a few charts of interest again. We had some charts, obviously, that we were interested in last week, especially the likes of sort of gold, which we've talked about. We were looking to potentially get long in and around this zone, essentially. Prices started to move to the upside there, so we'll kind of discuss what could happen next on gold as well. Let me know what you guys are looking at as usual. We've obviously had some data recently as well. I'm just trying to get that up on the screens at the moment. Yeah, we had some Oz data. We've just had some unemployment claims out of the US as well. So we can go through all that. Just sorting something out on the other end. Sorry, guys. Give me a few minutes. But yeah, I like the look of gold at the moment. Obviously, we were talking about getting long down in this area here. We've obviously seen price rally up. So I'm just going to point out a few key levels on gold. Just had that dollar data drop. Obviously, the dollar starting to feel that effects of the weakness at the moment. Let me just take off of the period separators here. So yeah, basically ever since we kind of tipped into this 107 high here, we've been pretty much on this kind of downward slide here on the dollar index, breaching through the 105.50s again. Looks like we've approached another sort of zone of support at the moment, the 104s, but quite like the 103s on the US dollar index at the moment. So that's where I'm kind of expecting price to potentially go to. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in terms of there. So while I just do this over here. Right, okay. So yeah, we'll break down a couple of these and then we'll have a little look at some other charts of interest as well. Sorry, Justin. US dollar has been the last couple of days on the news, so gold buys are viable. Yeah, a bit of dollar bearishness at the moment. Obviously, yes, Tuesday, we saw this big move to the downside. That was after that poor kind of CPI data. Yesterday, didn't see too much of a move considering we had PPI data. I think it was a bit of a mixed data set actually yesterday. We had core PPI coming in at 0%, down from 0.2%. Core retail sales, though, actually came in at 0.1%. It was expected to be minus 0.1%. However, it was down from 0.8%. So that's still a fair drop, but obviously it wasn't as bad as what was expected. The one thing that really kind of came in a lot higher than expected was the Empire State Manufacturing Index. That came in at 9.1 over the previous minus 4.6. So I think that kind of sort of put a short sort of stop on the sort of dollar drop that we had kind of following on from Tuesday. But today we had unemployment claims rise up to 231,000 from the previous 218,000 as well. So we do have a little bit of data dropping in the next 7 minutes or so. We've got industrial production month on month forecast to come in come in a bit lower as well. So we could see the dollar index breach this 104 handle, head down towards the 103s today. So again, just going to mark out a few areas of interest for us just to keep our eyes on. The first area of interest is going to be sort of down towards that 103 level. I really like the 103s potentially for the US dollar index. Let me just change this around. So around about that 103 handle is where I'm expecting kind of the dollar index to try and make a run to in the next either few days or the next week or so. Obviously 107, big level of a turning point recently as well. So yeah, not really too much else to discuss here with the US dollar at the minute. I think we've obviously breached through a few levels of support and resistance. There was a little bit of hesitancy to go short around this level because of the sort of area that we're in. We're at this 105.50 handle, but ever since we've kind of traded through that sort of price there, it was always to do with the sort of pullback. If I just zoom in, you can see the sort of reaction here on the pullback. You know, or I always talk about watching those candlesticks on the size and the range of them, especially on a daily chart. If you start seeing sort of low ranging candlesticks, it can lead to quite a large impulsive move following that. And obviously that was news orientated there, but nice aggressive move to the downside. I think the problem the situation we've got here at the moment, we're just a little bit range bound. If I go to the sort of hourly time frame, we can see that we're kind of trading between these kind of recent highs at the 104.50 and these kind of lows around about that 104 handle. So if we could try and trade through that 104, I think it will lead to a move down towards that 103 level. And then, yeah, we can look for potential opportunities at that point. But you can see how price has reacted to these swing highs here. Nice rejection on the on yesterday's candlestick, overnight rejection, and coming into the US session, we've hit those highs and dropped lower again. So market is definitely favoring dollar weakness at the moment, and that's something that we can probably expect to continue in the short term, especially now we've breached through so many levels of sort of support and resistance. So yeah, some more levels coming up after that, potentially kind of go target all these swing lows through here. So yeah, these will be the sort of points I'll be watching going forwards. Obviously, if I want to be a short seller of the dollar at the moment, I want to be looking at key areas of support and resistance. And you know, 105.50 would be a nice area to start looking. But really speaking, I quite like where the dollar index is at now, to be honest. I wouldn't mind seeing a move down. But we are coming into 4-hour lows. 4-hour lows really important. 4-hour and daily lows really important. So if we were to kind of breach that low there, you can see the sort of area down at 103 would be very important. So yeah, that's the sort of dollar index. Obviously, if we can continue to get that, then we could be looking at some potential further upside on gold as well. Obviously, gold was something we spoke about for you know, the past week or so, the past couple of weeks. Basically, looking at the sort of move down towards this level of support. The reason why this was such a big level of support for me, let me just see if I can bring a pen tool up. Actually, I want to see if I can get it on here. sharing the window, not the screen, so it might not work, but we'll see. No, you can't see that. Let me change the view here for a second, so I can at least draw on the screen. All right, that view should be slightly different now. If I grab the pencil, yeah, that works now. So yeah, so basically we were looking to try and get back into this area, and the reason being is because it was obviously a very strong level where buyers came in. The reason why that is because look at the aggression before it, right? We've had very strong buying momentum coming into this market. We've then had 2 days of just going sideways. Now, if we had seen this and price had sold off, then this would be a really good resistance level, because what this is telling me is that the market had an aggressive move to the upside in here. Then we've had a little bit more accumulation, and then buyers have won, right? So we've seen the aggressive buying continue after the fact into a level of resistance, and then we've seen that drop. So really speaking, this area here is where buyers have been happy to add in positions, right? So these are clues to where we can go and have a look at potential continuations, and that's why we were looking at this zone through here. If you use volume profile, if you put a volume profile from the swing low down to the swing high here, you'd see a lot of volume coming through at this point. So that is another reason why I was looking to get long around this area. And if the dollar index can continue to weaken, we've got these highs that we can go and target. So let's go to a 4-hour time frame. I like to look at these sort of 4-hour levels of support and resistance, and we can see up here, big level coming in. Let me just pop a line at the end. Oh, let's just line everything up. So that one obviously has been negated now. We had that high in here, it came in, we rejected a couple of times, so a little bit of a pullback, but price is now extending through that level. So definitely the next level of interest for us is going to be more towards this swing high here, which brings us in and around that sort of $2001 area. I mean, 2001 spot 50 is probably not a bad area to look at potential targets for any kind of moves to the upside here on gold. Granted, if we can trade through this recent high that's been formed, right? Because I say that because obviously price has found resistance here recently. Okay, so when price finds resistance at a point, you've got to have a look at not necessarily going long in here. We have to think about risk to reward. We have to think about the safest place to enter the market, and the safest place is to enter at lows. Okay, we don't really want to be going long at previous highs. We want to see price trade through this level, create a new low, and then we can look to get long from that swing low instead. It's the safer place to get involved. So that's what I'm looking for here on gold, especially up into this 2001 spot 50 handle. But we need to see price kind of do one or two things, basically. The first thing is breach this high. The second thing would be coming back towards this low and finding support. Okay, we've obviously found support and buyers here. So if price came back to that, it could do the exact same thing again. Okay, so I want to be a buyer at lows. So that's what I'm going to look for there on gold, either a breach and a retest, or a little bit of a move back down into those swing lows there. Obviously as well, you can use averages on the chart. If I just bring in my favorite moving average, which is the 50, you can look for longs above the 50 as well. So if you do get price kind of coming back towards the 50 moving average there, it can often lead to a bit of a rally higher. But that's depending on what you think of the market. Do you think the market's in a trending condition, or do you think the market is in a sort of non-trending condition? Non-trending condition, I'll be always looking to sort of buy at the lows. In a trending condition, you could look to see price breach, come in, close above the 50, and then that could be an opportunity to try and trade to the 2001 spot 50 highs there. So gold looking really good, to be honest. I quite like the opportunity on gold. We did talk about some other markets this week. A lot of them we sort of yen based as well. I quite like the momentum on some pound pairs as well. I haven't actually followed through on those pound pairs, to be honest. Let's have a quick look. Actually, I remember now. I think we were pretty right on this one. I like the idea of pound Kiwi, but at the time we were at this range high, okay? And I said if I wanted to be a buyer, I want to be a buyer down at range lows, right? And again, this is about sort of looking at your market and understanding what type of condition it's in, right? If we were in an upward trend, would I have been looking to buy at the lows? Potentially not. I would have probably been looking at my moving averages, trying to see if there's an opportunity there. But we were talking about the lows here being an area of support. We also talked about this area here being resistance. And yeah, it looks like price is trading within that right now. So we might get another move back up into these range highs. If we breach the range highs, we could potentially move forward. But that would require the Kiwi to be a little bit weaker. We are seeing a little bit of Kiwi strength at the moment. So we don't want to kind of jump into anything here just yet. I like the idea of trading this potential range. We've got sort of this low down in here as well. Let me just put a few labels on here so we can see what's what. So if you have any questions, guys, please let me know. I know sometimes I can speak really fast, so I apologize if I am. $206, I'm going to go there for that range support. I'm just going to get a left price label on this one. 209.50. Okay, so yeah, that was the kind of analysis on Tuesday. Short from range highs, target range lows, look at the potential for price action at the range lows. If you go to the 15-minute time frame, what I like to look for is real big changes in trend, or I like to look for chart patterns and things like that. You can see there's a bit of a sort of double bottom trying to make its way in here. You can see that there's almost like a consolidation breakout. That was obviously some data that's driven that move. But, you know, a breach above these swing highs would have been something I would have been really looking for. You can see price then comes back into that level, and we've started to see a little bit of buy momentum come in. But anywhere in this zone is a good zone to start looking to get long. You know, if you were looking to get long in this zone, stop below the low, 60 pip stop potentially, up about 88 pips at the moment, would have been a nice position. Obviously, short from that range high would have done very, very well. Ifran, nice to see you on the live stream again. Shorted GA yesterday and got a good 150 pip move, was similar to GN. Yeah, absolutely. Very, very similar. We did the exact same analysis, I think, here, where we looked at the range. Sorry, guys, I've changed my... I keep changing my charts just to kind of get something that every now and again, I like to refresh them, give them a little bit of a different color. But this is also to do with something that Blueberry Markets have been working on. We've been working on a VIP trading room, and these are the sort of charts that I use in there. So I was trying to keep everything very, very similar. But I can reveal a little bit more about that soon. So if you're a Blueberry Market client, you've probably had an email around that. So let me know if you do trade with Blueberry. Be interested to know. Obviously, doesn't matter. Everyone is welcome here. But yeah, Pound Oz, very, very similar. We were talking about the range highs here down to the range lows. Obviously, the market found a nice little resistance there at the range highs. We have seen a little bit of Oz weakness coming into the market today. That's why we're probably seeing a little bit of a move higher here in Pound Aussie. Let's go take a look at Aussie US dollar. Aussie US dollar is at resistance, right? So we can see here that we're at a very, very important level on the Australian dollar, right? Rejections all through this area here. So obviously resistance all through this area through there. Price obviously finding a little bit of resistance at the moment. That's probably why we're seeing a little bit of that Australian dollar weakness in the market right now. But I think if we clear this level, then it's obviously going to see prices move higher. I think if I'm expecting gold to move higher, then I'm probably going to expect the Australian dollar to move higher as well. It's just I want to see it try and clear this zone first. I don't like being long into highs. It's not the smartest idea to be long through highs. I'd rather wait to see if price can breach through a level of resistance first before trying to get involved. You know, like I said previously, the smartest thing to do is to be long at lows, right? So we want to be looking to see, would price come back into these swing lows before even thinking of a condition to get long. At the moment, we're at resistance. Usually when price comes into resistance, I want to be looking for potential short trading ideas. Sorry, I just had an alert go off there. And look at this, nice little rejection. Is this going to be a lower high? And is that going to drive price a little bit lower here? Or are we going to hold, breach, and move to the upside? I always think it's smart to look at the resistance level and look for an opportunity there. It's very much like euro dollar. Just zoom on over to euro dollar. Sorry, that was something else I was working on. If I go to the 4-hour time frame, you can see here we've come up into a resistance level now. This was a level we were looking to get long in down through here. You can see the supporting lows coming into play. Right. Rejections all in at this area. We then obviously had that good data out. We were looking for targets at these previous highs. We smashed straight through those. Price came up into this level. But now obviously this is a very strong level of resistance from the past. You can see the market here. We had an aggressive move to the downside. We had a continuation of that aggression after that point. So this is a very, very important point in the market. And it's whether price is going to trade through it and move to the next level of resistance, or is price going to find resistance again? And you know me, I like to look at my my chart patterns and things like that. And I can see here price has obviously found a little bit of a double top at the moment. So it'd be interesting to see if we do start trading lower, start breaking to the downside. I did actually take a very short-term short off of this level yesterday. I ended up coming out at break even, unfortunately. So yeah, wasn't really didn't really get much out of it, to be honest. Literally got triggered in off of a move of the news, but then yeah, I got stopped at break even. Basically, I ended up getting short around this level. Price came up, took me out for break even, and we're kind of, you know, starting to see a little bit of a sort of move back down again here at the moment. So let me see if that industrial production data. Okay, so the industrial production data out the US actually came in a lot worse than expected. So down from 0.1% to minus 0.6%. So let's have a little here. Vincent, yeah, I had a count with Blueberry, but I blew it. If ran, strangely enough, I was also a Blueberry, but that was to do with the strategy I was testing. Basically, I was just trading some breakouts, which I quit now. That's interesting, if run. Yeah, it's always got to do with sort of your strategies and things like that. Obviously, risk management is a huge part of trading as well. But, you know, this isn't an easy game, right? If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right? So it's a very, very difficult. I know traders that have blown loads of accounts but have become successful. I actually know one guy who was unsuccessful for like 7 years, and completely turned it around. Blew multiple accounts, like tens of thousands of dollars, but it's completely turned it around now. So it can be done. It can be done. Nice rejection here, though, on euro dollar. Be interesting to see if that can follow through. I haven't actually taken any positions today, to be honest. There's not really been anything that's really I've seen that I've really wanted to kind of get involved with at the moment. One chart that I did like was a euro chart. Where is euro yen? I was eyeing up a potential for euro yen again. I've been long euro yen. I'm trying to take off the period separators then. Euro yen, I think, is a market that, you know, we can see the market is moving to the upside. I've been long euro yen. I'm out of my positions on euro yen. I'm looking for another potential in, because I do like the idea of this market continuing to move higher. Now we are technically at lows here. You can see the hourly lows there. I'm just popping a moving average as well. But what I'm really looking for is a potential break of this moving average and a break back above it. The only reason I say that is because obviously when we do start to see the market trend, it can have these opportunities when it comes back into the 50 moving average and moves higher. Now I went long off of the 30-minute time frame, right, which was all the way back here. That was where I was long. I ended up taking a 3-to-1 out of this in the end, after this rally up. So I ended up exiting around about here. Price has since obviously, you know, continued to push higher, keeps using that sort of 50 moving average on the 30-minute time frame as a bit of a sort of sticking point. So I am kind of keeping a very, very close eye on euro yen. The reason why I like it so much is because it has got a potential to run all the way up to sort of the 168s, or the 167.50s. So I do quite like the potential there. That's still another 400 pips away. So I do like this a lot. I'm just trying to figure out where the best place to try and get back in is, because the longer a trend goes on, it's almost like the harder it is to get in a way, because you know that that trend's going to turn at some point. Getting in towards the lows is very easy because you can clearly see, well, I say easy, you know, down here would have been nice to get involved, obviously, because these are daily swing lows. But as that sort of primary phase continues, you know, it gets harder to try and jump in, because you know that the market is potentially going to turn at some point, because we don't go in a straight line, right? I can show you the weekly chart here, or even the monthly. The monthly from there to there has been pretty straight, right? But if I go to a daily chart and zoom out, you can see all the sort of pullbacks in the market. And I'm just, obviously, I don't want to get caught on one of these pullbacks, you know, which could potentially bring price to 160 and then move higher again. But that's the problem with trend trading. You're going to get caught out at least once, especially when you're coming towards the end of a trend here. The only thing we can do, obviously, is manage risk at that point. So I think if I was to get anything euro yen now, I probably would start sort of managing that risk, because the market has moved a significant way. So, you know, maybe this 30-minute time frame, a close above, you know, could give me the idea of being long again. I'd definitely be exiting some position out at 164.25, and then if it trades beyond that, I'd be looking to then try and maximize the trade, obviously. But I can see here on the 5-minute, we obviously had a very good reaction from these lows. Very bullish candlestick coming in around about what was that? Around about 130. We saw that sort of big push up there. That was probably coinciding with that data that dropped on the unemployment claims. So, you know, we're coming back into that sort of volume there where obviously the buying took place, which is in here. So, you know, like I said, you want to be a buyer from lows, right? So this isn't necessarily a bad idea to do business with the market. I'm just waiting for a little bit of extra confirmation now. Otherwise, if we breach through this low, we could come all the way back down towards the 163. But I do like Euro Yen long. Just got to be a little bit smart with how we try and get into these yen positions now, because the yen has moved a long way. Have I got dollar yen here? Don't know if I've got dollar yen open. Oh, here we go. We did a video on dollar yen this week, talking about has the intervention come in. I don't think so, but these highs are very, very important. They're daily swing highs. These swing lows down here, very important. And then we mapped out a few other levels as well, predominantly on the sort of hourly chart, where we were looking at these kind of key swing lows that were coming into play on the dollar index. Now, I quite liked the idea of waiting for price to come back up into the 151.88 for a potential move to the downside. We didn't get that. Then the US CPI obviously pushed price lower. We did find support down at the 150.25, which is something we pointed out in that video. But again, you can see this is why it's so important to look at the highs and lows that are being created in the market. You see the market make a low, price pushes higher. We have to understand that the people that can do that are the people that are trading with large sized contracts, right? They're pushing prices higher. So when price comes back into that zone there, we've got to be vigilant. We've got to know, you know, these people that are getting into the market, you know, they are, they leave these little breadcrumbs, right? And that's why I always look at highs and lows, because if price has pushed up from here, it's because buyers have outweighed the sellers at that point, okay? Buyers have then driven price higher. Does it mean that buyers are going to come in again? Absolutely not. But it just gives us an idea of where that could potentially happen. We then have to use the appropriate risk around that point, right? So going long through there wasn't a bad idea. You can see that obviously buyers have stepped in here in the past. Price has moved aggressively to the upside. Here would have been a very important point. We've obviously gapped down as well, which is interesting. And then we've come back into that level. So again, that would have been another level I would have been looking to sort of target to see if price would have done anything at. Targets would probably be back down at this 150 area in here. So I don't necessarily want to be selling the yen just yet. Now, this could be a dollar-driven move. It could be a yen-driven move. One of the easiest ways to do that is if you have a block of yen, let's say on your trading view charts and things like that, you can have a little look at sort of the changes, okay? You can also do this here. So if we go market watch, right, you can see the daily changes. I'm pretty sure you can make your own yen block up, right? So you see Aussie yen here, minus 0.7%, okay? So I can say AJ minus 7%. Okay, wow, so that is 0.7, right? I'm just being a little bit, let me delete that, it looks a bit silly. Minus 0.7%. So you just go down the list, CAD yen, okay, minus 0.7%, Euro yen, minus 0.2%. Just look down the list, pound yen. So basically this should tell you a picture, right? UJ minus 0.4%. Okay, so this is telling me really, we've got Kiwi yen as well, obviously I've missed out. Kiwi yen, and that is minus 0.7%, right? So what this is telling me basically is that the yen complex, right, all these yen pairs are down. So if all the yen pairs are down, it's pretty much the fact that the yen is gaining strength. Okay. If I want to be Aussie yen long, or like we've discussed, Euro yen long, I don't want to see this situation going on. Okay. I want to see these being pluses, right? Because then that tells me that the yen is weak. So if I'm, in order for me to try and look at that euro yen and say, yeah, I want to be long, one condition is I need dollar yen to be at support. Support is down here. Okay. Support is down here at 150.28. So I wouldn't bother getting into any kind of yen position until dollar yen at least is at 150.27, because I know that buyers have come back in here before. So will buyers step back in again? Potentially. So that would give me a better understanding of whether that yen is going to be weak again. Okay, does that make sense? Hopefully that does. It's like trading cross pairs essentially. Vincent, I'm holding a short trade on Kiwi US dollar from 60.37.6, potentially taken, and stop loss. Partial taken and stop loss at break even. That's my only trade for this week. Let's have a quick look at that. Have I put New Zealand? Have I got New Zealand dollar? Here we go. Yeah, I liked shorts back in at that high. That one there. Definitely like shorts back in there. So you got short at, where was it again? Sorry, 60376. 60376. Yeah, that's a beauty, that is. That is a beauty. Especially if your stop loss is just above that high. If you had a 20 pip stop loss, 60 pips, 3-1. Yeah, I would have been very happy with that. Let's have a little look at what happened on your sort of 15-minute, 5-minute. I can see the double top in there. Price came back to resistance. Again, in this situation, I think sometimes it's really hard to say, well, how would I get into the market, right? If price rejects, how would I get into that market? And again, it all comes down to me for looking at the highs and lows. You get a high created in here, for instance. Okay. You get a high created within here. Okay. So it's just about looking at that and saying to yourself, where is the best place for that risk? Now, obviously, price comes back into that high and just breaks straight through it. So you've got to ignore it. Okay. You've got to say, well, obviously, sellers aren't getting active where sellers have been previously. Sellers come in again, so we just wait. Price comes back in, and you can see that we're starting to fail at that zone again from the higher time frame. That'd have been a great area to enter your positions. Okay, stop loss depending on how aggressive you want to be. It would be risky to put your stop loss at the high. To be honest, I would put my stop loss above that swing high there, and then look to try and play out a 2 to 3-1. At that position, right? So let's say you went short here. You have a 23 pip stop. You're looking at a 46 to, what's that? 23.69 target. So you wouldn't have hit your 3-1 yet, but easily you would have had, you know, a 2-1 within that sort of range, which happy days, right? So yeah, I like that a lot, to be honest. Nice rejection of the resistance up here. I'd like to see price try and recover that move there. So I understand why you stopped at break even, probably looking to try and extend this to that point. Stop was at 60611. 611. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Just above those swing highs. Perfect. That's exactly what you want to do. Exactly. Bongo, hi. Hi, John. Apologies for being late. No worries. No worries. Aussie yen. Yeah, let's go take a look at Aussie yen then. Don't think I've got Aussie yen on the screen. Let's have a look. I can see, sorry, your message as well. Ifran, yen is going in strength. Risk off coming, maybe, potentially. Yesterday's daily pin on NAS is very tempting. Okay, we'll bring up the... Let's have a little look at the volatility index as well. Because if the yen's going to get stronger, we should see a rise or an uptick in the volatility index as well. Wherever I've put that. I should probably put these in order. Not seeing too much of an uptick. It's definitely a slowdown in that momentum, though, isn't it? Definitely a little bit of a slowdown in that momentum, starting to curl up slightly. On the volatility side of things, I still quite like it a little bit lower, this volatility index. So I still think yen has a little bit of a way to go. Let me just bring in those charts then. Let's bring in... Sorry, let's bring in Aussie yen. Yeah, Aussie yen here scares me a little. Especially if you want to be a buyer, which, like I said, you don't really want to be a buyer right now. Now, Aussie yen's quite interesting because we've got this kind of level in here. Let me take off the period separators again. And I'll just open this out a little bit. So we can see, obviously, a rejection back here in 2015. Rejection, and we're kind of trading above that zone at the moment. Extreme has been tested on this weekly time frame. So again, this is where you'd look at it and go, well, I don't necessarily want to be long right now, okay? Because if you're looking at it from that point of view there, let me just change this into sort of a line chart, and I'll zoom in a little bit. You can see that we're coming back up into those extreme highs, really. So trying to get long here could be pretty awkward, but this is a weekly chart, right? It depends on what kind of time frame you trade. But that could be quite awkward to get high there, especially when you've got that sort of extreme high there. What is interesting to me, though, is this high. This high back here in 2014. You can see the November 2000. It's actually today's date in 2014. We formed this high. So I'm quite interested in that, to be honest. Whether we reach that, you know, is something we're going to have to work out closer to the time. But at the moment, we've come up into that weekly level of resistance. We're starting to reject it. You know, to be long here, I think would be very risky. It would be very risky. I like the idea of being long, but like I said, when it comes to cross pairs, we've got to understand that we're trading the Aussie US dollar versus the US dollar Japanese yen. So we need dollar yen to be moving higher, as well as Aussie US dollar. We've already checked out that is at resistance, right? This is not at anywhere, okay? It's kind of in the middle. It's not at support or anything like that, okay? So would it make sense to go long Aussie yen? No, it really wouldn't, because like I said, if we go to Aussie US dollar, we're at resistance, okay? It doesn't mean that price can't trade through it, but it's just that what's the probability of price breaking through this resistance at the moment? Not as high as if it was to go low, from the lows, right? And move higher. So we're at resistance there. Obviously, we just looked at dollar yen, not at support. So if I want to be long Aussie yen, really I want to see dollar yen here, and I want to see Aussie US dollar at a level of support, whether that be sort of down here visibly, what we can see at the moment. So yeah, Aussie yen, I probably agree with your analysis there, Bongo, in terms of it's falling nicely. It might see a little bit more of a rejection, definitely coming back in. Let's go check out the NASDAQ as well then. Ifran pointed out that the stock market is having a little bit of a fall. Sorry, let's go indices. NAS 100. Let's go here. Daily chart. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Are we back at, I didn't even realize, are we back at all-time highs on the Nasdaq? No, I was going to say then, I thought that was on I thought I was on a weekly chart then for a moment. I'd have been very, very surprised. I've been like, why would I not point that out? I'd have definitely pointed that out. But look at that weekly level of resistance. That is very tempting. I can see why you're very tempted on that one, Ifran, to be honest. Oh, yeah, I like that a lot. Do you know what I'd like even more? If it came back into those 4-hour highs up here. I'm going to set an alert there. I think if we got back into this area here and rejected, a little bit of divergence, that would be nice. That would be very nice. What are the other stock markets looking like then? Have a little look at the S&P. Sorry, I keep going to the wrong one. Oof. This one's almost closer to retesting that high. So more dollar data out today? No, we've got some dollar data coming up tomorrow. That's a very good call, Ifran. I'd say. You know, potentially risk off coming in. That would tempt a lot of traders in, I guess, to get involved with that. So, do you know what? It'd be interesting to see how that closes on a daily point of view. If it comes and retests the swing high there, I'm going to see how that reacts. The Nasdaq looks better in terms of sort of price action. You know, if that 4-hour high can be retested, I think that would be something to potentially watch out for. It may lull a few people into trying to get this daily candle. Might kind of, you know, we might have seen a lot of orders being triggered down at this daily candle low, so we might go and run the liquidity first before coming back lower. So that's why I'd set an alert up there. But I like that resistance back in July. Yeah, good spot. Good spot. I like that a lot. Just having a couple of alerts go off. Let me just see what those alerts are. It was a Euro Yen alert, so I don't need to know about that right now because I'm not bothered about Euro Yen. Kiwi CAD. Kiwi CAD's looking pretty good, to be honest. Okay. Right, I'm going to leave it there then, guys. We've been about, blimey, done 49 minutes. Didn't realise that we'd gone on that long. I didn't realise I'd talked for so long. Yeah, let's leave it there. Thank you for all your comments and questions today. Really appreciated it. Thank you, Justin, Vincent, Ifran, Anthony. Thank you for joining me as well. I forgot to give you a shout out there. Thank you, Bongo. So, yeah, really appreciate you coming to the live stream again. Thanks for taking your time out. And I will catch you next week now. So have a great rest of your trading week. I'd say keep a look at some of the charts that we've had a look at going into today's session. Obviously, gold was a good one to look out for, potentially this stock market move as well. which Ifran pointed out. So keep that one in mind. And yeah, I will catch you next week. Have a great rest of your trading week and speak to you soon. Cheers, guys.